Welcome to the final episode in my deep dive into musical intricacies within Sondheim's 1979 musical Sweeney Todd. It's been quite an adventure. I never thought I'd make it this far, nor that it would take 5 years. I started this series for several reasons. Because I absolutely love Sondheim and Sweeney Todd. I wanted to legitimize theater music as a worth analyzing art form, to get better at making videos, and as a frustrating reaction to how limiting writing about music in academic essays. I believe videos are better at conveying these ideas. I also never thought I could rack up this many subscribers, though a big shout out to Sideways, who shouted out my channel and more than doubled my subscriber count. In this series, I've basically gone over every square inch of the musical, but you will also notice that I haven't covered a lot of Act 2. This was on purpose, as most of Act 2 is recycled material from Act 1, which also was a deliberate choice by Sondheim. In Act 2, he can continue exploring the ideas that he previously established, and rarely does he establish anything new. In fact, I will keep a reprise checklist every time we encounter recycled material. You will also notice that while in Act 1, each of these songs are real songs, many songs in Act 2 are kind of not and are mostly forgettable. These, I feel, are arguably the only real songs in Act 2. Additionally, Act 2 is structured more transitionally than the first, including small tunes and bits of singing here and there between bits of scenes and dialogues. So for the most part, I will summarize each song and point out new and interesting things. God That's Good opens Act 2 and is already a reprise of Pirelli's Miracle Elixir before it goes into a rumpus ensemble number about celebrating a thriving pie shop. One thing I love is that when Mrs. Lovett brings out new fresh pies and sings about the pie's secret family recipe, there's a corrupted Dies Irae in this middle line. And she even inserts it in her melody. If her customers paid attention to her motifs, maybe they would catch a whiff of the family secret. Of course, also, a lot of this song is composed of the Sweeney revenge theme.
Dear, say to the customers, yes, what?
I also love this part that starts as the revenge theme, but turns into this beautiful melody, one of my most favorite parts of the musical, in fact.
Chair fit for a king, a wondrous neat and most particular chair. You tell
The melody also wouldn't be complete with the Dies Irae thrown in there,
with this particular thing.
and ending with the revenge theme twice. Now I also want to point out something cool that only happens in the 2004 London 2005 Broadway revival, which is notable for being a 10-cast actor-musician production. When we get here, Toby is playing the Not While I'm Around melody.
Is this a chair fit for a king, a wondrous neat and
It's likely there to foreshadow what's to come and to hint at Toby's growing suspicions. These counterpoints work very well with each other, and it's likely that Sarah Travis, the orchestrator for that production, put that there, maybe or maybe not from Sondheim's guidance. Which makes me wonder if this is a happy accident, or at some point did Sondheim intend for these melodies to interact with each other? If anybody has an answer, please let me know. The next song, Joanna Quartet, also begins the same as the Joanna in the first act. And of course, if you haven't noticed, his melody is the same melody we've had before in many previous songs.
Oh, what then with yellow hair like
Though it bounces along carefree as Sweeney is slicing throats.
shall not meet again, my little dove, my sweet.
And I so love how this melody then interacts nicely with the Joanna melodies. The next song, By the Sea, starts the same as Worst Pies in London, but instead of being frantic and crazy, it's more fluttery and fun.
What I'd like to do, Mr. Todd. Rush, what you hurry? You gave me such a fright, I thought you were...
It's quite a fun song in Act 2, not much too special about this song. The next bit of melody is the Wig Maker sequence, which is just the melody of Pretty Women.
And there's gold and saffron, there's flaxen and there's blonde. 'Tis your delights catching fire from one man to the next.
The next song, The Letter, I covered in the previous video. Then the next song, Not While I'm Around, is another new song. It's such a beautiful and pure song, sung by the one character in the musical who's completely unaware of everything. I feel that while all the other characters sing in clashing and close intervals, Toby's song is made up of open chords and open intervals. You can tell that from the large intervals and even these perfect fourths in his melody. But of course, unbeknownst to him, he's tied up in this nonsense too, so there needs to be a dies irae in his melody.
I'll send them howling, I don't care, I got away. Of course you do.
I also love it when Mrs. Lovett sings the same comforting melody. It is corrupted by this eerie and dissonant counterpoint up top.
Nothing's gonna harm you, not while I'm around. Nothing's gonna harm you, Toby, not while I'm around. You don't understand.
Which reminds me of the counterpoint found in the opening song.
He kept a shop in London town, a fancy clients and good renown. And what if none of their souls...
The next song, the Parlor Songs, I covered in part 18. By the way, of course, throughout the musical we get these quick interludes from the cast. Each of them is different and evolved in some way. I love this one that we get as a transition into the madness of the asylum. There's Fogg's Pascalia, which is background music in the asylum, and just the melody of Greenfinch and Little Bird creepily played on the organ. City on Fire is another new tune. It's very frantic and sung by the local loonies. This song will come into play for the following extended scene sequence, which is an almost 15-minute sequence that brings us to the end. And this Sondheim treats us with a collage of melodies and motifs we had so far. They pop in and out. As Sweeney and Mrs. Lovett are searching for Toby, Mrs. Lovett sings Not While I'm Around.
Not while I'm around.
Then the lunatics show up and sing City on Fire. Then Beggar Woman comes in and sings her Beggar Woman melody. Then more City on Fire. We then catch up with Anthony and Joanna who sing Ah Miss.
Look at me, miss. Oh, look at me, please.
And then they sing No Place Like London.
Sail the world and see its wonders.
And then Beggar Woman sings her thing while being killed.
Don't I know you, sister?
The judge! I have no time!
As a reminder, the descending half steps, which is the Lucy motif, is directly represented in the Beggar Woman's melody, who, as you should probably know, is actually Lucy. Anyways, the judge shows up and with Sweeney sing Pretty Women.
For pretty women, blowing out their candles.
And once the judge is dead, Sweeney sings My Friends.
Rest now, my friend. Rest now.
Chorus sings the whole lift your razor high thing, which is a great moment, but probably mostly there so they can do a set transition. Whoops, he killed Lucy.
Oh no! Oh my God!
Mrs. Lovett sings Poor Thing.
No one ever lied, said she took the poison, she did, never said that she died.
And then they sing A Little Priest.
Story of the world, my pet.
Oh, Mr. Todd, leave it to me.
And Mrs. Lovett sings a little bit of By the Sea.
Forget.
See, Mr. Todd will be comfy, cozy, but I see Mr. Todd with his never see.
And Sweeney, having just killed Mrs. Lovett, sings Barber and His Wife.
There was a barber and his wife.
And then Toby pops up and kills Sweeney and begins singing the Ballad of Sweeney Todd, and the rest of the cast gradually joins in.
His skin was pale and his eye was hard.
What a great hodgepodge of things. And you can see from this reprise checklist just a hint of how much of Act 2 is just recycled material from both Act 1 and 2. Sweeney Todd is one of Sondheim's most beautiful scores, and is so incredibly complex if you know what to look for. Crazily, he makes it look so effortless. All the characters and plot points interact with each other similarly to how the melodies do too. In a musical about revenge and death, Sondheim heavily utilizes the 15th century Dies Irae Latin hymn in almost every melody. Sweeney's revenge theme is also a variation on the Dies Irae. This is the other theme that appears so often. And of course the simple Lucy motif that foreshadows that the beggar woman is actually Lucy. Crazy stuff. I want to thank you all for coming with me on this journey. I also wanted to plug my personal YouTube account, which will probably be more active than this one. There you will find memes and dreams. Please subscribe. When I started this series, I made these videos on PowerPoint, which seems insane. As you can tell now, I've learned how to use DaVinci Resolve. It's free, easy to use, and I encourage people to try it out. I have a long list of videos I want to make, and several videos I have in various stages of production. In the future, I will unfortunately be releasing fewer videos, because I will be moving abroad for a while, and I'm leaving my video editing desktop computer in the States. Thank you for joining me. I hope you learned something, gained an appreciation for Sweeney Todd, and fallen in love with Sondheim like I have. See you soon.